if mortgage rates fall, but we don't have a lot more houses for sale, that could drive up houses and make the inflation problem worse. I don't want to focus on that too much, but the other part on the economic side is that if people have the ability to refinance their houses, this could create a spending boom in our economy because there's a lot of equity that people are sitting on. And they could start pulling out this equity, and then they could use that to spend because we've seen this happen in the past. Again, there are risks here. Number one, there's a big concern about inflation. Cutting interest rates can make the inflation problem worse, which is something that I'll talk about in just a little bit. The other part is if people don't have equity in their houses and home prices fall, that could create a risk of a foreclosure. That's what we saw happen during the 2008 crash, that people didn't have any equity in their houses, housing prices fell, and now people were underwater on their houses. That's the second concern. But the biggest reason why the Trump administration is so aggressively wanting these lower interest rates is actually not because of the housing market. It's actually not because of the economy. It's because of this, our national debt. So let me explain. Let me quickly show you how the United States government works, because the United States government has one source of revenue. It's tax dollars from taxpayers, and it is expected that we're going to generate around $5 trillion in taxes. Well, after the government collects that money, they're going to go out and spend that money. And you might think that the government is running a smart, balanced budget, that if you're collecting $5 trillion, maybe you spend $4 trillion and you save $1 trillion. But that's not what happens. In fact, the government also doesn't spend $5 trillion and live within their means. Instead, what the government does is they spend all $5 trillion that they generate in taxes, and then they're expected to spend an additional $2 trillion on top of that. So it is expected that the government can spend something like $7 trillion in 2026, which means there is a $2 trillion gap. And that $2 trillion gap then has to be covered through debt. That means the government is living off of their credit cards, because the government has to go about $2 trillion into debt every year just to pay all of their bills. Now, the reason why this matters and ties into everything that we just talked about is twofold. Number one, what do we say in the economy? What drives the economy? It is spending. Well, who is the largest spender in our economy? It's not me or you. It's not Apple or Nvidia or Tesla. It is the United States government. So when the government spends money, it's actually good for the economy, because when the government goes out and they create a contract with a company, that company can go out and hire people. They can go out and do business and spend money somewhere else. So the government is creating jobs when they do this. The problem is the government is spending money that they don't have. And so when they go into debt to borrow this money, that creates two problems. Problem number one is interest. And the reason why that's a problem is because the fastest growing expense for the United States government, it's not our military, it's not our healthcare, it's not Social Security, it is interest payments on this debt. In 2026, the government's going to spend something like $1 trillion in interest payments. Well, why does that matter? Because they only collect $5 trillion in taxes, which means about 20 cents of every dollar you pay in taxes is going to go directly just to interest payments. It's not for your healthcare, it's not for your retirement, it's not for infrastructure or the military. It's just to pay back yesterday's expenses. The second reason why this is a problem is because when this debt happens, a big chunk of this debt is coming from the Federal Reserve Bank. Well, let's go back to what we said in the beginning of this video. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a bank, it's not a reserve, and it's not federal. If it's not a reserve, they're not sitting on any cash. So how do they actually lend money to the United States government? They have the ability to print money. So now when the Federal Reserve Bank can print this money, that means more money, more dollars are being created out of thin air. Well, that's all good, except you can't create more wealth. You can create more paper dollars, but you can't create more wealth out of thin air. So when the Federal Reserve Bank prints this money, the value of each individual dollar goes down, causing the prices of things to go up. That's what inflation is. So anytime we hear of more government spending, think of inflation. Now, why does this have to do with interest rates and the housing market and everything that we've just been talking about? And the reason why is because of this, these interest rates. If the Federal Reserve Bank now can cut interest rates, that means not only is your mortgage going to become less costly because you can refinance, but the United States government can also refinance. So we know that the government is going to spend about $2 trillion that they don't have. This deficit then rolls over into something called our national debt. And right now we have approximately $39 trillion of national debt. This is what we owe interest on. And this is where we have to pay about $1 trillion a year in interest. Well, if interest rates were to fall by 1%, that means the United States government would then save hundreds of billions of dollars a year in these interest payments. And if the government is saving hundreds of billions of dollars a year, that means the government could, in theory, then borrow less money because that means their spending fell. Or, what's probably more likely, is then the government could go out and spend more money because now they have $300-400 billion that did not get spent on interest payments. Now they can take the $300-400 billion and spend it somewhere else to help boost the economy. Because oftentimes what we've seen happen, it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or Democrat, governments generally don't like to slow down spending. And the reason why they don't want to slow down spending if they don't have to is because that slowdown of spending hurts the economy. Well, spending is good for the economy, but when you spend on debt that has to be printed, that makes the inflation problem worse. So yeah, you create more jobs, but those jobs aren't paying enough to keep up with the cost of living because you have to print money to pay those jobs. And that's where we are facing a very tough problem, because either you can fight a slowing economy or you can fight inflation. You can't do both at the same time, because the way that you fight inflation is by raising interest rates, and the way that you fight a slowing economy is by cutting interest rates. That's the dilemma. But if the Federal Reserve Bank now can cut interest rates and the government can save money on this debt, well, now people think that maybe our national debt problems would be less problematic. But that's not what we've seen happen throughout history. And like I said before, history doesn't exactly repeat itself, it does rhyme. Right now we have a debt problem. And the way that we've solved it in the past was not by spending less money. It was actually through a concept called financial repression, which meant the government is going to spend even more money. It made savers poorer in the United States, but it made the government richer. Let me show you how it worked. In 1946, after World War II, the United States was facing a very similar debt crisis because the government had to go into deep debt to save us from the Great Depression and also fund the war. So in 1946, we had national debt of around $271 billion, while our economy, measured through a number called GDP, was $222 billion, which meant our debt to GDP ratio was about 121%, which means we as a country had more debt than we did the size of our economy. And this is where people started to get concerned about this debt crisis. Now, to solve this debt crisis, the government didn't spend less money to pay off the debt. Instead, what they did was they borrowed more money through this concept called a financial repression. Take a look at what happened by the time we got to 1974 when the financial repression ended. By 1974, the national debt didn't go down, it went up to $475 billion. But the economy grew even faster, from $222 billion to about $1.5 trillion, which meant that now our debt to GDP ratio fell from 121% all the way down to right around 25%. This is that big factor that people pay attention to, because it's not how much debt you have, it's how much debt you have relative to your assets. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.